Be ready. 5 seconds. Sir, very many honorable members have rightly pointed out that this institution, which we are going to create through a statutory provision, is a very unique institution, and it has taken this unique shape and structure based on the lessons that we learned from all other earlier institutions. I think periodically this house has been getting the information as to why some banks could not perform and why some developmental institutions did not continue to be development institutions. They moved over to become regular commercial banks. As a result, every such experiment which had happened earlier resulted in such changes, all of which have been studied before forming this institution. So, this institution has really acquired that unique character only because it has been tailored in such a way that it gets over all the handicaps which other earlier institutions faced. This may not face, and this, hopefully, has come out of all the learnings that we have done as a government. Sir, before I get into the uniqueness of this institution, I want to say that infrastructure financing and project financing long term all have a very high risk element. The credit costs are very high. The long term assessment of the success of project is also on grounds not so established in terms of data and in terms of prior success rates. Each project may be unique for itself. Therefore, the possibilities of failure are also high when you take up funding for this sort of an institution. The way in which the current situation has become, the scheduled commercial banks which borrowed in the short term and started lending in the long term projects ended up with asset liability mismatch, all of which are in the public domain, and we know how a space which should have been occupied by development financial institutions gradually got filled in by commercial banks who did not, in their core business activity, have anything to do with long term financing. As a result, the absence of the long term financing institution was felt equally, and the asset liability mismatch of the commercial banks also started standing out, and at both ends we started losing. A third set of institutions, the non banking financial companies, started coming and performing what the scheduled commercial banks had to do other than what they were doing in terms of spreading and reaching out to the far flung areas. So, all these together has given us a set of learnings based on which we have given a structure to this current institution. It is also true equally that in India the corporate bond market is not really mature. It is not big enough. We are in no position to say that the bond market can adequately take care of our financing needs for long term projects, and therefore you can bank on that and leave the rest to be worried about by the bond market. No, the bond market in India is not yet ready for that. Therefore, the twin problems have resulted in a situation that you need to have a specific institution which can finance development and also projects in this country. So, through the establishment of this unique organization, we think this DFI will probably meet about 8% to 10% of the expected expenditure of the NIP itself. I say that this institution is very unique because it meets both developmental objectives and also financial objectives. In this, global institutional investors as much as domestic retail investors will also participate. The monies which are expected to be raised from sovereign funds all over the world and also from any other big investors who want to invest in India will all be drawn towards this institution because of the governance structure and the management structure which we are giving it. It will have a single tier governance structure in the form of board of directors, equal representation of the government, and independent directors on the board will be given. The board will appoint key management personnel on the recommendation of the Bank Board Bureau, and safeguards will be provided even for decisions which are commercially taken, which may lead to questions about why certain decisions are being taken. Inadequately informed prosecutions will not be entertained. In this, it is important for me to say that the appointment of the chairman may be done by the Government of India, but the MDs and DMDs are going to be appointed on the basis of recommendation of the Bank Board Bureau, which will then get vetted. It will be vetted and finalized by the Nomination and Remuneration Committee of the board, and appointments will be made by the board itself. I will very quickly mention other notable features of the bill. It will have a framework wherein the Reserve Bank of India will be enabled to issue regulations.